How do we start it in an interesting way?
You can be like, I'm Cole and I am Phyllis.
Hi, Cole. Welcome to what I guess is kind of the Popcorn Space podcast.
Yeah.
I guess that's what we're going with. This is episode 20, but it's also different because it's not live and it'll be edited.
Yes.
But it's good to have you on finally.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's good to be here.
It's funny because we come finally full circle because started the YouTube channel with you. You were the co-founder of this place.
Yeah. I still get, 80% of the revenue, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Every month.
Because it was 0 times 80 adjusted for inflation.
Well, it's not much, but it helps.
Right.
It helps.
I think it's so funny because I guess the reason I invited you to do this episode, I wanted you to be on it eventually, but the reason specifically for this episode is because for the people who don't know is that we have over 10,000 subscribers, which is exciting.
Yeah,
Thanks. But
amazing.
I texted you when I found out we got 10,000 subscribers, and that was like a month ago, or maybe a little less than a month ago.
Mm-hmm.
And we were like, oh my gosh. And then almost immediately I was like, we should do a video about it. And you were busy, you were gone working, and you were like, yeah, I can do it on this date. And as the weeks went by, legitimately it's rolling so fast that I was like, we're going to hit 11,000 before we're
by
able
the
to do it.
time we do
Because I think right now we just checked, it's like 10,695 or something like that. Which is just, it's so funny because when we started the YouTube channel, we would have given up our families to have more than 100 subscribers.
Yeah. And I almost think I don't know, even if we could go back in time and tell our little selves,
I don't think they'd believe us.
Well, I don't think anything we could say to them would even give them more of an urge to do well. We were already slaving. It didn't matter.
I think we were really convinced that it was going to happen because we would watch. I remember the reason that because we made videos before YouTube, and I'm pretty sure we would just delete them after we made them so we could make more.
Oh yeah, or something
unless
couldn't save them, so he's like, oh, delete it off the little because you got the little SD card.
Right. I remember specifically a few different ones. I remember
Grandpa Bouncy.
Grandpa Bouncy. That's what I was gonna say. That's the main one I remember. I don't know if we actually made it or it was just a plan, but
that was on a tape. That was an older camera on a tape.
That was on a tape?
Yeah.
Does it still exist somewhere?
Or at least Grandpa Bouncy 1. The sequel.
We made a whole series of them. Which the premise behind that was that my name was Jackson, as always, but I was Jackson Bouncy, which was my last name. And you were my grandfather, who we just simply called Grandpa Bouncy, but I believe your name was Eugene or something old sounding.
Yeah, Eugene. Eugene Bouncy.
And there was never any plot. It just kind of went on that you would continuously embarrass me in different scenarios where my friends were there, but there was never anybody else because we had no other actors.
All of which took part in your backyard.
Right. The backyard or the alley or maybe on occasion the roof. And I remember one time we got into my mom's car, or I did. I got into my mom's Jeep. And I was sitting in it and holding the camera and pointing at myself, pretending to drive, even though out the window you could tell I was in the garage. And I think you had a fake beard from church or something.
Yes.
To be Grandpa Bouncy.
Yeah.
And you were pretending to run in place so it looked like you were running at the speed of the car.
I do remember that.
Although it was perfectly clear that we weren't doing anything. And you went so then I honked the car. Yeah. And after we shot that scene, I remember my brother coming out and being like, hey, don't do that. Don't do that anymore. And we were like, yeah, we were just about to stop.
we were just wrapping up here. Yeah, I remember that video. Where did that one go?
I don't know. I feel like I remember us putting them on the computer and not having any kind of knowledge about what to do after that.
Yeah.
And so we just moved on to the next project.
Once we finally got a camera where we could
We were
drag
like
and drop.
7. We didn't know how to edit videos.
We got it to the Dell, my little cheap Dell desktop that I got on eBay, and we were like, yeah.
Well, that was our first. That was our first. So I kind of say because, I always want to feel like the prodigy, and I'm like, I started making videos when I was 3, but really, I think I just made one video when I was 3, and I don't really remember making any others until I moved back to Abilene and then met you, and we started making videos because I met you, and I don't know if you were already making videos, but you had this like $20 camera that your mom bought you.
Yes. And you had a pool.
And I had a pool. And so we had like a little exchange to make.
Yes.
And I remember thinking that was so cool that you had that camera, so I convinced my mom to get me one, like the exact same one for Christmas. And so we had 2 cameras, and we would just make dumb videos every time we hung out. And that's all we did.
Yeah.
And never put them anywhere. And then I moved away and came back. And when I came back, it was like that's when we had gotten into YouTube and started watching like Julian Smith and Rhett and Link and Tobuscus. And for some reason in my head, because I knew like obviously they didn't work for a movie company. They didn't have millions of dollars to make these videos. So in my like 5th grade mind, I remember thinking they must be making it with similar cameras to what we have, right?
Yeah.
And so I was like, they made it look pretty good, which obviously, of course, is not the case. They had like 4K and everything.
At least.
And
but the comedy, the atmosphere
comedy
around
was
YouTube
up to par.
around that era was really up our alley.
It was pretty simple.
It was
like none of them made any
school
sense.
Kids,
like if you go back and watch
middle
some of the
school boys.
older, Rhett and Link kind of were more thought out, but if you watch like Tobuscus and even Julian Smith, his sketches like couldn't have taken more than 3 minutes to come up with, because there was one where there were like 3 of them, and they were just like, "Oh, I'm you in a few seconds," and then all of a sudden like. His his friend came in who didn't look anything like him, and he's like, "I'm you in an hour."
Yeah,
and they were like, "Oh my god!" And it made no sense, and the video was over, and we were like, "We could do
and we
that."
Ate that up. We were like, I have these thoughts in my mind on a regular basis. Like when I wake up, I'm thinking something like this. Like, let's just film it and laugh at it later.
I think we had both like grown a little bit since we had known each other before. So when I moved back. Really, at first, all we did was play Halo. I introduced you to Halo, and that's all we would do. And I feel like in my memory, we didn't really talk very much. You would come over, and we would play Halo, and you would leave.
Yeah,
and
basically.
So then when we started watching YouTube videos, it was like this flashback to this is what we used to do. But now there's a place that we could put it.
Exactly.
And I like dug up my old $20 camera that I still had, and it was like
360 or 480.
One of the 2, we were just looking at it. It's literally a perfect square.
Yeah.
Like the most. It's like more than 4 pixels, maybe something like that, where you could barely tell what was going on.
It's one of those ones in Best Buy that doesn't even have like the little theft protection thing.
Right.
It's just in a box.
Right, because if someone steals it, they don't really care.
It doesn't matter. Yeah.
It was an interesting experience the way we would come up with them, because when we moved back. We were supposed to be getting like my pool fixed, but because we didn't think we like moved away and came back to the same house, and the pool had like been left there, and so someone drained the water.
Yeah.
Except there was a little bit at the bottom, and the lining was like tearing, but you could walk around in the pool. And so most of these took place like before in my backyard, but now it was like the post-apocalyptic backyard.
We had a set.
It was it like most of them took place around this disgusting dugout pool that we would walk around in. And I remember one of our first simple sketches was called The Runaway, which was simply, hey, you just film me with the camera and
running around.
I'll just run away.
We'll put a song behind it.
That was the whole thing.
Dude.
It starts off, I walk up to the camera, I kind of look at the camera, I look scared, I run away, immediately a soundtrack starts.
Yeah.
And it's just continuous shots of me running different places around my house. And then there was one that we thought was gold because I ran over some hopscotch, but then I was like, wait, no. And then I went back and like redid it properly.
Yeah.
And
that was actually kind of clever. There are little I won't say
prodigies.
Gold. There are little bronze nuggets of
the bronze nugget. I think in that one was when you showed up in the end, because I like finally ran out of breath and just like stopped.
Yeah.
And you were there, and I feel like we had gotten the water out of like, I don't know if we got it out of the pool or there was like some gross like place to put a hose, but it was like an old house, and we put water in this cup, and you're like, I don't really want to drink that. And I was like, it's going to be fine. So in the middle of the shot, like if you watch the video, you take a drink of it and then immediately spit it out, and you're like, hey, what's going on?
Yeah.
And then I was like totally out of breath, so I couldn't say anything. And you said, I didn't expect to see you here. And I said something like, this is where I live. And then you were like, all right, I gotta go. I got a wedding to go to. And then you just left, and that was the end of the video. Yeah. And we were like, we'll just sit back and wait for the views to come in.
Yeah.
That's how we spent our entire day that day.
Yeah, refresh. Oh, 3.
We got 3. Now, that was you refreshing.
That counts. Oh, every time I refresh.
It's so funny because we would spend so much time. I mean, it doesn't really sound like it, but we would spend a significant amount of time coming up with the ideas and then actually filming them. And then we would actually put it down and edit it and put it back up. And once we got it on YouTube,
promotion was non-existent.
Well, we just kind of saw like Rhett and Link getting all these views, and we thought, why wouldn't we get them? You know,
put them up and watch them roll in.
Weeks would go by, and we try to show them to like our family and stuff, but we'd have sometimes like 5 or 10 minute videos, and our family like wants to be so interested. Yeah, they were like, I don't know that I could sit here for 10 whole minutes.
Oh yeah,
but. Weeks would go by and we'd have like 10 views and like 9 of them were us and like the other one was probably one of our moms.
Yeah.
And
we had a pretty aggressive campaign for a while where we were, especially like if me and you were together in the same place, we would go around word of mouth.
Like, we would go around just like at youth group and everything, telling people to watch our YouTube,
right? Check us out.
We it felt really cool to describe yourself as a YouTuber because this was before the time that like everybody had a YouTube channel.
It was early. And I just felt good in middle school being able to have something I could access. I didn't even have a smartphone.
Right.
But, go to someone's house, get a laptop and show them like, hey, this is this thing I made.
Yeah,
watch
here's
and
my
then
project
have them
so you
laugh
can access
at it.
Yeah.
And like, oh, that's great because now I'm laughing at myself too. Because
right.
It was just a fun thing to be able to do. It was a new way to entertain yourself.
Yeah, it was. I'm caught here. It was really interesting because we finally had an outlet where so we didn't have to keep deleting these videos. And in 2011, again, not everybody had a YouTube channel. Smartphones. I think the iPhone came out in 2008, and most of us poor people didn't get iPhones until. Yeah. I was behind to the party, but I didn't get one until like junior year of high school. Mm-hmm. But so most people didn't have cameras on them, so they couldn't just make a YouTube video or any kind of video. There wasn't Instagram. Facebook was not very popular, at least among our age at the time.
And if you think about it, a lot of our ideas are something that now I would make on like an Instagram story in like a minute.
Yeah, like we see them all the time. Like when Vine came up, it was almost kind of like heartbreaking. It was like we saw the death of that early YouTube because anybody could make a 6-second video that would become viral immediately and be like, man, we worked so hard. And we kind of got
our
this
little 1-minute skit.
Yeah, we got like this kind of schizophrenic feeling making YouTube videos where I think it might have been me more than you where I was convinced that we had people watching and I was just going for where at the end of videos I'd be like, all right, guys, thanks for watching. And it felt funny because I would literally ask you, like, who are you talking to?
Who are you talking to?
There's nobody there. All right, guys. Well, we know you liked that one. We'll have another one next week. And it's like there's nobody there to listen to that information. You're just gonna watch that a few times.
Yeah.
It was and then eventually I moved away. So it's funny because I actually created the spontaneous and fantastic Phyllis. We created him when we were still making videos, but that was because we didn't have enough actors, and so we just had to film ourselves being multiple people. And I don't remember you ever having a character that actually had a name. You definitely played different people, but it was never like a named character.
It's kind of like you think of John Wayne. He plays different people, but every movie he's in, he plays John Wayne.
Right.
You know? You pay to see a John Wayne movie because
you were the
him.
John Wayne of
I feel like
randomness.
I was always playing myself just under a different guise, whether it be a beard or a fake cowboy hat.
Right.
I was just kind of there.
When Phyllis was created, there was an interesting divergence because I felt like Phyllis was the embodiment of who I actually was and all of my weird, awkward, and cringy tendencies. And then the character of Jackson on the web show or
became
YouTube
much
channel,
more refined.
Yeah, he became like the cool guy, like the guy I wanted to be. And so he would always be like, his lines would always be suave, and he always looks cool and knows what he's doing. And Phyllis is the one always tripping over himself, and who had I think secretly hated you and would always make comments about it.
Yeah, looking back, there
which
was
is
some
funny
beef.
because it was funny because you actually named Phyllis.
Yeah.
completely spontaneously. And I think it was actually because of the take we chose in that specific video, because you said, oh, it's that one kid, Phyllis. And then we just kept going.
It's that nerd. What's his name? Phyllis.
But I think we took like a few takes of that, and you said different names, but we just like went with that take. And then he showed up in another episode of the same series that we were doing. Mm-hmm. Oh, that was the thing we started doing, because at first we were just making one video at a time, like just sketches.
Yeah.
And then Julian Smith made the Kidnapped series.
Yeah, we adapted.
And I remember thinking, that's so cool. He's got a running series, which didn't have much of a plot, but it had something that would go on from episode to episode. And I was like, I want to do that. And so we started making, the first one was The Coolest Man. The plot was pretty reminiscent of his Kidnapped series, because the coolest man in the world was kidnapped by some evil man named Mr. Johnson. And that was the entire plot that we followed through. But it was just in one of those episodes in that series where we created Phyllis, and he just started reoccurring. And eventually I developed this voice for him.
Right. Which didn't happen overnight.
It did not. No. You can watch the progression of his voice as I matured and started to slack my jaw a little bit more. And I could get to the point where I could so become Phyllis that I could look at things like Phyllis and I could breathe like Phyllis. So without saying anything, you could tell the difference between me and Phyllis.
Yeah. Exactly.
Because I just like slacked my jaw and just went into this, like, it was like part like old man voice and part
quite unique
monster. Like I don't know what was going on.
My phone's vibrating. Hey guys.
I remember when we were trying to be more serious and make cooler videos.
Yeah.
One of them that never actually saw the light of day was like police versus bounty hunter. And I think you were the police and I was a bounty hunter. And we were trying to find somebody. That was the episode that we initially filmed, the thing of your dad, when we opened the shed door and he was in there. And we just put that on the back burner
now.
Because that video was never made.
Yeah.
But then we ended up putting that one clip.
We used that clip again in Modern
School Fair 2, I think. Yeah, because we just had it and it was hilarious and we needed to put it in somewhere. But it was pretty funny. Our like trying to take ourselves more seriously, but still not making any sense. And I remember telling people that I was trying to make it more seriously, and all of my family was like, okay, stop putting Phyllis in videos.
Yes.
Like, he's really annoying.
I got backlash from I remember because it was normal for me to show videos every once in a while.
Right.
Like, hey, this is what we're up to in the backyard today.
They're like, what's wrong with that
one time,
kid?
Yeah, one evening, they weren't entertained anymore.
Yeah, you felt the shift, whereas like, this isn't cute anymore.
Okay, yeah. Can we stop?
You're 13 years old.
Yeah.
You're growing facial hair. You need to stop.
Why is his jaw crooked? And why are you still doing this in my backyard?
It was funny. Well, I mean, we were thieves because it was really, I think he became like our version of Julian Smith had Jeffrey Dallas, and even Blimey Cow had Big Head Kid. So it's like it's like one of the main guys just like wears a wig or puts on some glasses and becomes a different character with a weird voice.
Yeah.
And that was what
he
became. He was our mascot kind of thing.
See, and in the moment though, I don't know if it's the same way for you, but for me, I thought like this idea was all original.
Oh, no.
We are onto something totally new here.
Well, here's the thing. I can look back at certain videos that we had watched back then, like Modern School Fair, seems really original. But there was also a video that was really popular on YouTube that I'm pretty sure that we watched. And I don't remember if I stole the idea or not. But I remember, like years after we made it, looking back and seeing this other video and thinking like, I've seen this before. And like, oh no, did we steal it? It was this cardboard warfare thing, where everybody had cardboard weapons and they were going around.
Same guy that did VGHS? Or no?
I think it was it was at least within association with Freddie Wong, is who you're thinking
Freddie
of.
Wong, yeah, I do remember that video. They would walk around the woods and fields and stuff,
and they just had cardboard
guns.
Yeah, and they were shooting each other.
They had effects that looked amazing.
Right, so theirs was definitely miles ahead of ours,
which we tried.
Right, well, we didn't even have
we had sound
visual effects. We just did sound effects
that I recorded with my phone, and
you had one that you would. One was messed up because I think you like recorded it twice. So whenever we would cock a gun, you would hear it cock twice, and you would only see it cock once. Yeah. Did we ever? I don't remember when I was finally able to do a really crappy version of actual visual effects. I don't know if we pulled it together by Modern School Fair 2, but at some point we started actually using it. I can't
remember, but yeah, we had some muzzle flashes.
Project Alpha might have been when we started doing that.
Project Alpha.
Which was also stealing from Red versus Blue.
I almost feel like that series may have been our peak.
That was our peak?
Some good stuff.
Well, it was funny. It was definitely me trying to make something reminiscent of Red versus Blue. Mm-hmm. And we even started it off in Halo. And we didn't have, like, you'd have some kind of special hard drive to record an Xbox, like, video game, like Red versus Blue did. And we didn't have that, so I was like, hold the camera up to the TV.
To the screen.
And when you do that with a crappy camera, you just see these lines like that go by. Like it's very obvious what we're doing. And we tried to record dialogue over that. I think I ended up deleting that first episode because I was like, none of the plot's important anyway, so I don't really care if you understand what's going on. But our videos consisted of a lazy idea, some maybe cool soundtrack.
We would pace back and forth for about an hour maybe and just...
There was
write some dialogue or
one
some
episode
funny lines.
of Project Alpha was...
You're basically writing it as you're...
No, absolutely. We had no script. We were just going. And there was one episode where I'm legitimately just walking back and forth from the camera. And...
It's honestly boring.
It is really boring. And I'm like on the phone, pretending to be on the phone with someone.
Plus the
and
audio,
I'm like coming up,
is bad.
Right. And I'm coming up with the plot as I'm on the phone, pretend with my boss character. And it got it and you're trying to do like funny dumb stuff in the background, and you're just like breaking stuff in your backyard, and it was pretty interesting. I remember for a long time we didn't even have a tripod, so if ever, it was mostly just only one of us in the shot.
It was one of our little sisters.
Well, if ever we were both in the shot would suddenly be a lot shorter because it was probably either your little sister or my little sister. And my little sister, when we started, was like 3.5 feet tall. So it went from like us to like way down here. Not that we were that tall anyways. But I remember, and we would ask them to be in the videos sometimes. And we didn't have a script. So we were just like kind of go with it. And we'll point the camera at you.
Yeah.
And it was art, I think, is what I'm getting at ultimately.
I believe so.
Yeah. So what do you think was the pros and the cons of creating a YouTube channel? At least like looking back on that point in our lives.
Pros and cons.
Yeah.
Of creating a YouTube channel. Pros were it just got us out of the house.
Yeah.
Because there was a rut for a while.
Well, so
I remember just playing Halo for 5 hours a day.
Yeah, and that's what a lot of kids. That's what a lot of kids will do. I mean, even when you're playing instruments, which is good to play an instrument, but even so, like kids, including us, would just sit in our rooms, and when we would hang out, we would just sit in one of our rooms for a long time and not do anything. And at least that got us to do some kind of activity with some kind of vague, idea. And it was fun because we felt driven, at least, to do something. Because like not a lot of, I don't know if anybody that we knew had a YouTube channel, and that was so cool. And it was funny because people would think that it was cool when we would say it because they hadn't seen the videos yet. So they're like, "You have a YouTube channel?" And we're like, wait till you see it."
Randomness.
Oh my God, the evolution of and I remember actually creating the YouTube channel at my grandma's house, like when I actually made the account, and it was called Buddy Body 1.
Yep. Which was your Xbox gamer tag.
Also, that's what I used for everything. I don't know if Buddy Body was taken or if I just assumed it would be, but for some reason I added that one there.
A one, just
so it could be more specific. And we called it Random, DUMB, to make it our trademark. And eventually, when I went and started doing the videos on my own, and it just became me and Phyllis, and then other random characters that I would do, it was I tried to make it more professional, so I called it Taylor Company of Multimedia.
Yeah,
and I felt like I was living it up. And I would say I would call myself a videographer because I would take my I had an okay camera, but I would like film Andrew recording a song, so I thought that qualified me to call myself a videographer.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, I do stuff, and then I made cards and would like pass them out, but like I would like never do anything. I think one time I had an option to film someone's wedding, and I was like, I don't want to do that. I was like, I'm 14 and I'm gonna mess it up, so I'm not gonna do that.
Right.
I just can't imagine like I have one camera and it has so much battery life, and like I couldn't imagine like I'm watching them on the altar or whatever, and he's getting to the vows, and he's like, "Do you take?" Warning. It's like low battery. I'm like,
no.
Oh, this is the end. Like this is the end of my career.
This is how I die. I get jumped at a wedding.
How was the video? Oh, it was great. I missed the like marriage part, but like other than that, like I got all the
beautiful B-roll.
Yeah, I got like a bunch of people like eating cake.
So at your next wedding, I'll come by and get the actual vows.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's okay. It's probably not going to work out. 50 cent of per marriages. Looking back, I'm trying to come up with interesting questions. What was it that you think? I don't know. Was there anything that you took from that? I definitely think it taught us how to see a project through, because I felt like, there were some that we didn't end up uploading, but we always like finished a project at least. And
yeah.
I feel like as I got older, I continued with that trend, and I was told by a lot of people, which I assume you were too, you're like a ridiculous guitar player. And I think a lot of people can look at like what we did in our own creative branches and say like, that's really cool that you followed that through. And I think I could absolutely attribute a lot of that to the YouTube channel and to feeling like even though we didn't actually have an audience,
true,
it was something to strive for, and that kept us finishing.
When you look at it in that light, we had absolutely nothing to motivate us except each other.
Delusion at each other.
Delusion, and then the other guy. Hey, we got to get together and find a spot this week and just finish this because it's so good. We're onto something here.
Well, and also I think maybe at that time we didn't even have a lot in common, so I don't know how much we would have done if we weren't striving towards some certain goal.
Yeah.
But it was a fun time. You want to watch some of them?
Yeah, let's do it.
This is Waiter Warrior. So this is the first one that we ever actually uploaded to YouTube.
Gosh, look.
I'm wearing a Halo. I'm wearing some dumb Halo beanie.
Change clothes.
This is the only tie I had. This is SpongeBob tie.
What? Jackson, what's going on? Take these pranks! God!
Like really?
What are these?
Complete nonsense. Then soundtrack.
This took me so long to figure out how to do.
Oh, how to do slow motion?
Nope. This isn't slow motion.
This is slow motion.
This is you moving slow.
No, because we recorded. There's literally two versions of this same video, and one was filmed in your room, and one was filmed in mine. And the one in your room, I pretended to go in slow motion, and it looked horrible. And we were able to figure it out for this. Oh my! This is But here's the funny thing, is that you watch this and you're like, oh, of course they're trying to make it bad. And it's like, but that's not the case. Like, we thought that this was fantastic.
This is great, yeah.
We thought this was like on par with the greatest of YouTubers at the time.
This is our ending.
Which actually we used in the next video. Well, this is us trying to emulate Julian Smith and how he would do.
So slapstick.
He would end it and then do like a teaser in the end, which I'm sure has an actual name. But it was funny because when we would add,
that was awful.
We would put them in your computer. The same thing happened in The Runaway.
I do remember that. We would lose footage.
Like it would cut the middle of the thing out. So like the dialogue at the end of Waiter Warrior, it was like you were like, what just? And it would cut, and I'd be like, think happened. It was this, and then it's like that doesn't make any sense.
But that became part of our brand.
Yeah, that it just was completely
it would
delusional.
Happen in every video. Yeah, our cameras sucked so bad.
But that was
in like the copying process.
226 views on this video with 2 thumbs up.
I wish I knew.
Dude,
it's
we got
Katie, baby.
That was the one fan that we had.
What is wrong with you?
She said, "What's wrong with you?"
Our first fan.
And you replied, "Don't know. The brain scans never picked anything up." And that was really smooth of you.
Yeah, right.
But I think she responded on one of our other videos, and I assumed, like, because if somebody was commenting and it wasn't us under the guise of another channel that we had made to make ourselves seem popular, I was like, I must know her. So me and my little brain was like, immediately. I don't know if I think YouTube had messaging back then, so I think I might have messaged her or whatever.
We only assume it's a her.
That's right. It could be the Katie guy. But I was like, do you like all my suggested? It's just a bunch of Jordan Peterson stuff.
Lobster.
But I was like, hey, do I know you? Hey, where do you go to school? Hey, and then that was it. And then we never saw her again.
We ran off. Our
first commenter. We ran her immediately off, and by we I mean me. And you said something that I feel like I had to reform myself because you tried to save face, and you were like, "Hey, I'm sorry, I have to share a channel with this guy."
Yeah, I tried to
Don't judge
apologize.
our videos for him, please.
Desperately trying to retain our audience here.
And then you put like Cole.
Signed. This is me,
the sane one.
Yeah,
and I think I tumble roll in right here. Yeah, that was it. I like ripped my jeans with that. I remember that I had a big hole in my jeans after that. Dude, this is the same first shot as "Won't You Let Me Love You" right there, but just years later.
Yep. Wow, our production quality has increased.
Well, yeah, we got HD camera now. I think the most exciting and interesting part is that back in the day, we made videos where Mac Powell was our hero and had written those.
And he made it on the channel.
And he made it to the channel.
And we both
talk about it.
Meet him.
That was nuts.
Saw him at the Paramount and got to shake his hand.
It was so nuts to be able to watch him watch me pretending to be him. And it was pretty heartbreaking because he was like, he said, I would never wear a Dodger hat. And I was like, oh. Like, it was fun because a lot of people meet celebrities, but I got to have like a real conversation with them. Like, I got to have like a deep like friend conversation with him. And now he like comments on my posts on Instagram.
Right.
Cool.
It wasn't just like meeting a NASCAR driver and getting a ball cap signed.
Right. It wasn't like when we met Switchfoot. We met Switchfoot for like a second and got to like shake their hand.
I'm still very grateful for.
I mean, it was awesome. It was fantastic. But you know, they meet a million people like that.
Yeah.
And it was so funny because he talked about Switchfoot and he referred to Tim Foreman as Little Timmy. And I was like, that's my hero that you just called Little Timmy.
Dang, you actually have been doing this. Like, you are the king, man.
I know. It was a certain point when he was talking about Switchfoot that I was like, I'm talking to a famous person right now. That's kind of weird. It feels like a cool return, a full circle having you on the podcast because I'll put this up now. But it feels like a full circle because I started with you, and eventually when I moved, I was doing it by myself. And I started doing these like video sermons that like I was kind of copying what Kyle Wright did, which do you know, like, have you seen his channel? Like, he's reinvented it now.
Not lately.
Because he became like a famous TikTok guy. I don't have TikTok or understand how it works, but he legitimately has like, I don't know if he has more subscribers than we do on YouTube, but he's got a steady following going on.
On TikTok.
Yeah, and on YouTube now because he's transferred a lot of his TikTok people to YouTube. And he does different stuff, but I think mainly what he does.
So he has some scary stories.
He has people send him in his email creepy stories and he'll read them. All these fan submissions. And he does that like all the time. He uploads like multiple a week or something like that. And he's got like a pretty steady following. But back in the day, he was just doing... Which I don't know how we found him because I think you found him first, and I had just assumed that he was like someone who went to your church. But then later, upon actually getting to know him,
stranger. Where is he like from?
He lives in Ohio. He lives in like Ridgemont, Ohio, or something like that. And
then you collabed with him.
Yeah,
made a video.
Yeah, because we had messaging back then, and I made some like
isn't it amazing? Like today, I'm still Facebook friends with him.
Yeah, and they don't have you. They took messaging off of YouTube, which I'm kind of PO'd about.
Yeah, we used to like that was our main
because that's how you could like collaborate with people. I sent this thing and I was like, hey, I come up with this video. I know you do these like little YouTube sermons. It would be cool if you could watch the video and do that, and I put it at the end. And he was like, that'd be fantastic. And I was like, that's so cool. And later I found out he lives in Ohio. I'm making videos with some random guy in Ohio.
Yeah, it was very surreal.
Right, it was so cool, the community of YouTube back then. And now not only can you not message, but everyone and their dog has a YouTube channel. Half the people on YouTube are just which of course is ironic because we were just doing that. But they're literally just, I was telling you about like
Review,
Cody Co, and they'll just
reactions,
watch other videos and comment on them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're, like nobody's like really making actual material anymore. And I don't know that that's good or bad. Like I have nothing against the people doing commentary. It's just not the same. It's just a whole new YouTube. And like Rhett and Link don't even really do sketches anymore. They just do Good Mythical Morning. They're just like the talk show of YouTube.
They have their podcast and
yeah, they've gone to do all the new things, and they don't even really post videos. I think their last like Rhett and Link video that was a sketch was like in 2016, maybe 2015. So it's just YouTube has changed so much, and it's like, you know, the sad stuff that happened with Toby Turner, of course, who was one of our initial heroes. Like, you know what happened with him, right?
Yeah.
And he's still making. I saw the other day he's still making like vlogs all the time.
I saw a post of his on Facebook,
but it's,
and I haven't. I mean, I've been on Facebook for years and haven't
right.
seen anything from Tobuscus. And apparently, he's been posting. I don't know why I haven't been seeing him, but I was reminded of him yesterday. I was like, oh, that guy's still doing it.
Yeah, there's no, but he's not. It's not the same anymore because
no,
he's
it's
just
different.
I just think it's weird because everybody who made sketches that we looked up to either are completely gone and doing who knows what in their lives, or they've conformed and they've gone to do reactionary videos.
I had to adapt.
Or they're doing podcast. Yeah, like because Rhett and Link, I feel like, are the only. I think, what's even Julian Smith? Julian Smith did a podcast with Jeffrey Dallas for a while, I think. So it was still kind of like a character thing.
Yeah, he was very off and on.
Right, but it was incredibly inconsistent, and there weren't. I'm pretty certain that he doesn't do any sketches anymore.
No, and I don't know if YouTube was ever his.
Was ever
job.
his? Oh,
like his day-to-day grind, because he'd been into music producing, and then
I mean, maybe he did other stuff, but there was a time where he was making videos like
there was
3 or 4 times a month.
Yeah, there was.
And they were high quality videos.
They were awesome.
They were funny and they were well put together, and they came out all the time. And then he just like dropped off the face of the earth for like over a year.
They did that 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, and then he just came back and would do like
a
few things every now and again.
Yeah.
But it's just funny how much everything has changed. And like I don't watch any comedy sketches on YouTube anymore.
I don't follow
because there's not really any.
I don't follow anyone on YouTube that does sketches.
What do you watch on YouTube now when you watch it?
When I watch YouTube, I used to watch. I haven't watched. I'm still subscribed to Rhett and Link, but I don't watch them. I think usually it's just like I have a couple gaming channels and PewDiePie.
You watch PewDiePie's kind of
just
funny,
just to have a laugh.
Well,
but like,
he made it through the crazy. It's sad Toby wasn't able to make it through the crazy stuff, but PewDiePie did, because I think that was the final straw where we were like, okay, stop it. Like they're just trying to have fun, because it was the Wall Street Journal, right, that said that he was a Nazi or whatever.
That was the first hailstorm, yeah.
And it was like, what? No, he's not. He doesn't have any idea what's going on. He's just making dumb videos in Sweden all the time. Or I guess he lives in like London now. But
he was dressed in a USSR uniform one time, and that screenshot of him was plastered all over the face of the earth.
But he's just being dumb. He doesn't even understand. Yeah. No, but yeah, it's. I think all I watch now, I'll watch like debates. Like I watch Jordan Peterson doing lectures, or I'll watch like TED Talks, or I don't watch as much Joe Rogan as I used to, but I watch like podcasts and stuff like the H3 podcast and Joe Rogan. But
I don't know of anybody.
I can't think of anybody who does
kind of
comedy
videos
sketches
that inspired us to
start the YouTube channel and actually do all this stuff.
I can't name one person that just exists to make funny sketches.
Right. I guess it's like very tiresome to make that all the time, but there's really only like I guess the only place to get sketch comedy now is like Saturday Night Live, which is a lot of time can be a swing and a miss.
Yeah,
because
downhill.
I think they're just like making too many too fast, and so now it's just like once maybe every few months you're like, oh, that was really good, but like it's like one sketch among many.
Before they were bigger and had
they
TV
were making
contracts.
a lot of sketches, and then Jordan Peele went and became the film mastermind. And what does Keegan do now? I've seen him in a lot of commercials recently
too. I'm not sure.
He does like insurance commercials now.
Yeah,
I feel like he was in Geico or something.
Yeah, I did like their sketches for a while. I thought they were pretty funny.
But even so, that was just from Comedy Central, and they were going on to YouTube.
Yeah.
From a major network.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I guess it was a cool time because it was the beginning of YouTube, and it was this weird in between because when YouTube started, it was dumb cat videos and like
it was dumb people videos.
Yeah, just people like drunk people like running into things and cats and people falling off treadmills.
Right.
And then now it's like lectures and debates and podcasts, and there was that sweet spot right in the middle, in between those two things, where we came in and took the world by storm. But I guess, I honestly don't know. My guess to why we got so many subscribers is because over time, it's just that I think I just slowly learned how to make clickbaity titles, and they were just
I do remember,
clickbaity enough.
I said earlier I had an idea of what our most controversial video was. I was wrong.
What, the how to become invisible? Is that what you're
controversial
thinking?
video was how to become invisible.
That's
had
fantastic.
Hate
because I figured it out. Well, because at first I was like, what's going on here? Because the video, to explain it simply, was I had just gotten a green screen and I wanted to test it out. And so I thought, I'll just make myself look transparent, pretend I'm a ghost. I kind of threw the sketch together. Obviously no script like always. And I like sprayed myself with cologne and suddenly became invisible. And it's just me in different shots going like this, pretending to be invisible. And I uploaded it called How to Become Invisible, and the thumbnail was like some Google thing that I got where it's like floating sunglasses or whatever. Yeah. And we got so many views, but then also so many dislikes.
Backlash was real.
And like this was the most commented video we had. Like all of these people were just like, this is total bull. Like I wasted 3 minutes of my life watching this stupid video.
All these 5-year-olds were like, hey, I just wasted 3 minutes of my life
Right, but at
this.
first I was like, what's going on? And then I started looking at some of these channels and I'm like, oh, these are little kids.
Yeah.
And some of the comments were like, this didn't work at all.
I tried this.
And so I realized what was happening was these
they
little
thought
kids
it was for real.
were looking for real information on how to become invisible.
And you fed them a load of lies.
YouTubed how to become invisible, found mine and went, this is not instructions on how to become invisible. And so they were all ticked at it. And so to this day, that
was the original
one of our most
9-year-old
viewed videos.
That was the original. Oh, fantastic!
Yeah, that was our first glimpse of the scary YouTube comment section.
Yeah,
consistent. They're all like literal. I think that's what it is. It's all like 8 to 14-year-olds that can't drive or go anywhere, so all they do is watch YouTube videos and hate.
I'm sure they still contribute.
They just like spew hate from their mouth.
A good portion, but there's some adults on there now too that are starting.
I don't want to believe that.
Oh,
like you're probably right.
Yeah.
But for me to be able to get out of bed in the morning, I would like to believe.
I don't know what goes
that there
on
are not as many adults
in my mind. Like what is the psychological process behind this? But generally, I avoid comment sections.
Right. Every now and again, you go venture into it.
You get that urge. Someone presents themselves as a target so pristine.
And then they just go for it. And people will dogpile on them, and then people will dogpile on the people dogpile on them. Like, hey, leave them alone, man.
And your inner like hunter-gatherer sees this target. It's just like, I can't.
It's nice, man.
Like,
it's
I have to say something.
What I loved was Joe Rogan.
Just to stir the pot.
Joe Rogan,
I like to stir the pot.
Joe Rogan talked about you will comment in YouTube comment sections?
Yes. Rarely.
I don't know that I have the confidence to do it.
I've been known to do that.
But Joe Rogan in one of his comedy specials was talking about YouTube comment sections. And he's like, you know who's even dumber than them? Me, because I read that and get mad at it.
Yes. Oh, yeah. All Instagram,
It's
YouTube.
so hard not to because you're seeing, like people talk about the human race declining, and it's like, but you can see it in real time if you just look at the YouTube comment section. Like, because people are constantly just fight, like go to some non-controversial video. Like I'm thinking about visiting Oregon soon. So I'm looking at between 2 different cities, which one I want to visit. And I saw 2 different videos of people who live there that just did like a walk around video where they'd walk around town and kind of show what it looked like. They were like, hey, this is where I get coffee, and it's like the simplest video. I go to the comment section and like immediately it gets like disgusting. People yelling about politics and how awful this city is and why like the world is going to crap because of this sweet guy that decided to make a video about his hometown. Right? I'm like, what is happening to the world? And you watch it and you're like, oh, someone just commented. Oh no, he threatened to murder someone. But yeah, I guess I had a return to form because when I made the initial podcast, the Best Picture Brothers, that was only on iTunes, and then when I made this one, it was initially on Facebook because I wanted a video component to it, and I know if you did it on Facebook Live, it would save it, and I wanted to do long ones, so I didn't want to like actually save 2 hours of stuff,
right?
And so I ended up I kind of like saw how high the subscribers were going, and I was like, why don't I just come back to that and see what happens? And it's been fun. It feels like I came home. It feels like I've returned home.
Yeah.
So
I think it's good.
I have nothing but appreciation for all the continuing subscribers we keep getting. So what I'm watching now is I think I looked on eBay. Okay, so you know if you get 100,000 subscribers, they'll send you that little YouTube play button on the plaque or whatever.
I'm just gonna buy one.
I looked on eBay.
Put it right here.
And you can get ones that are custom. So for people who will like never get 100,000, because we have 10,000, I was like, it'd be cool if we could get one that just said 10,000 subscribers 10,000? On it. Because like at the rate we're going, like it took a long time. Like who's to say that we'll ever make it to 100,000 before
I don't know,
the people
dude.
from YouTube comment sections destroy the website entirely?
You may eat those words in the next couple months.
Yeah, like in 3 months, it's just going to triple itself. Yeah. But it, yeah, I guess to close out on this nostalgic podcast, yeah, I just want to thank everybody for subscribing. And if you haven't subscribed, definitely feel free to.
Please, every click just makes our lives that much better.
All of it matters. Every time we check it whenever we're getting sad.
I might start refreshing every day again. I might just make up for all the times where I did refresh and nothing happened.
How often do you think about the YouTube channel? Like once a year? Once a month?
Oh, man. I haven't thought about
every day.
This one in a long time.
Well, it was funny sending that to you because we haven't talked about it in a long time. And I was like, I think this will maybe brighten his day. Yeah. And you were like, no way.
10,000?
It was pretty surreal.
Oh, wow.
What is, so to end, what is your favorite memory of our YouTube channel? Of whatever, making the video or me scaring off our first commenter?
That's tough. There's a lot, but I do think back to the time that we got in trouble for being on your roof.
That's legitimately what came to my head. I'm not even kidding. Like I was on the same wavelength because we filmed.
Because we felt like badasses.
Oh yeah,
we were up there making a SEAL Team 6. We're like rolling around, incredibly dangerous.
Modern School Fair 2 was like 3 or 4 different videos put together, and so one of them we put on some like rap song.
Yeah,
and we had like an army jacket and a teddy bear that we cut in half.
Yeah,
we're literally
we're like doing cartwheels on your roof.
Well, and I didn't even live there anymore, so the house, like, we left the house and it wasn't being sold at the time because it was still like being fixed up, and we were like, well, no one's there. Yeah. So we got on the roof, and some woman like showed up because she saw us on the roof and was like,
across the street.
Hey, you're not supposed to be here, I think. And I was like, no, legendary. It's okay. I used to live here.
I just remember you being a legend, being like, oh, my dad owns this house.
Yeah.
Like the most 3-year-old answer you could possibly forget. Oh, my daddy owns it.
I feel like she just left us alone after that, though.
Well, she threatened to call the police, and then we got down.
Is that what happened?
Yeah.
And then
we acted like we were getting down because we wanted to get down.
Right. We were like, okay,
we're done anyway.
Well, just if we hadn't done that, the rest of the video would have been on the roof. Yeah, and like your parents were mad because like
I think they saw me through the window on your roof.
They thought we were gonna fall through the roof. That would have been a really interesting addition to the video.
We had to like scale a tree to get on the roof.
Right, we didn't have like a ladder or something.
Ladder.
Yeah, that's funny. So I guess I'm gonna go ahead and say that was my favorite memory too, because that's legitimately what I was thinking about.
Yeah.
Maybe just all the cool perks of being like, I'm a celebrity because I have a YouTube channel. But all right, maybe at some point we should have you back on the podcast where we can talk about like your life and all the interesting things you're doing.
Yeah, let's do it.
Because I made a very sliding comment about how ridiculously good at guitar you are. But you started, it's really annoying to see you get good at guitar because you started like 2 months before I did. And I think in my head I convinced myself that it was like years, but it wasn't. And then I'm kind of learning at a slow pace, you know, by myself. And we'd go to like pawn shops and play guitars, and I'd play like, look, I can do a G. Look, I can do a D. And you were doing like Eruption by Van Halen, and I was like,
hey, let me play you this solo.
Look, E minor. But alrighty, well, thank you guys for subscribing, and like. Do people still like? I think
like hit the bell.
They used to hit the notification bell.
Yeah.
Because of the new algorithm, because you won't get informed if you check your email. All right, well, it's
amazing.
been fun.
Thank you, sir.
So long. I'll close it out very nostalgically. I'll do it right to the camera. All right, guys, thanks for being here for the whole video. It was a fun time getting to reminisce with that guy over there and talking about all of the wonderful times that we had in the wonderful mythical world of random randomness. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. So don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe.
Rate, comment, and subscribe.
New video next week, and we'll see you in the show.
I guess that pretty much wraps it up. I'm gonna just close this out real quick.